Good morning, everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank the Arab Council for the invitation they forwarded to me to speak on behalf of the OECD on the main challenges we see still existing for digital governments around the world. Our first reflection is stemming out of the pandemic situation and the specific implications that the pandemic meant for governments' capacity to use digital tools and data to be able to keep their operations running and to design and deliver services that were not only responding to the emerging needs, but that kept responding to existing needs across societies. We saw that on one side, there was a great expectation for governments to be able to show that they were capable and ready to go digital overnight in many instances. But on the other, the pandemic provided a challenge for governments to see where they were not digitally mature and the actions that they finally had to prioritize to be able to use digital tools and data to keep serving their societies and their economies. We really think that the pandemic really provided an impetus for revitalizing the digital government imperative, because the governments have had and still have a great opportunity to actually shape how the digital transformation of economies, societies, and public administrations is happening around the world in order to support decisions around the use of digital tools and data, which are value-driven and that support public governance systems that are more user-centered, fair, and sustainable, and that make governments more capable to deal with challenges that are increasingly more complex and more global. So in this sense, from our perspective, it is really essential to enact fully the transition towards a real digital government reality. Governments that are capable to use digital tools and data to re-engineer their operations internally and to design and deliver services in ways that acknowledge the importance of technology as an enabler, and therefore do not have strategies that are focusing on existing technologies or emerging technologies, but rather on the goals that they would like to achieve through the use of data and digital tools, which is providing more user-centered services. This has been a great focus of our works in 2014 when the OECD Digital Government Recommendation was adopted. And the idea has always been to help governments in this transition towards being more digitally mature and therefore utilizing digital tools and data which bring better value to economies and societies in ways that break down existing silos, overcome bureaucratic systems, and then go a little bit beyond the more traditional ways of thinking about using tools which are digital and data to transfer online practices and processes that existed in the analog era and that were conceived in the analog era. So for us, the big challenge has been so far to accompany this transition around the higher maturity of 6 key dimensions that in our view represent the key 6 dimensions of a truly digital government, according to the OECD Digital Government Policy Framework that we launched in 2020. And the idea is that a more digital government is digital by design, is data-driven because it acknowledges the strategic importance of data together with people and money within administrations, that is government as a platform in the way it operates, meaning that provides the tools, the standards, and the opportunities for different actors inside of the administration and across levels of government to come together, collaborate, do things in more coherent ways and in more cohesive ways, but also are capable to create partnerships and work together with the broader ecosystem of GovTech and the different type of actors, including citizens, and is open by default. And whereby we do not only mean opening up data, but also opening up decision-making and policy-making processes. These 4 foundational dimensions of a real digital government, when grow more mature, provide a basis for the 2 other dimensions, which are more transformational, which are being user-driven and therefore really capable to provide responses, solutions, services, which place the needs of the users at the core of the design process and are more proactive, meaning they bring the data, but they bring also the services to the users before the users need to ask for the data and for the services. Clearly, this transition is something that many governments have been focusing on and they've been trying to prioritize, addressing the challenges that make it difficult to grow more mature around these key 6 dimensions. So if we look at some of the work that still needs to be done across the world, we still think that many countries need to adjust the governance for digital government to be able to support this transition. So who decides how decisions are implemented, how coordination and coherence happens across administrations still needs to be supported by a governance model that can accompany this transition that requires for more horizontality and more integration and fewer silos. Connecting the agenda of service design and service delivery is essential to be able to provide responses that respond to the needs of the users. Having the right digital talent and skills within administrations remains a priority in many public sectors, and having data-driven public sector approaches that acknowledge the importance of data, but also create the conditions, including the data governance, for being able to use data, to share data, to integrate data across administrations, and to apply data to conduct government operations in ways that are more trustworthy because they deliver better results, remain some of the main challenges that governments are dealing with at the moment. These points are very much reflected in the results of the Digital Government Index that was launched for the OECD for the first time in 2019, and the measures progresses of governments around the 6 dimensions that I just presented. And the results of the index demonstrate that whereas when we look at the foundational dimensions, efforts have been made by governments around the world to grow more mature, certainly the 2 transformational ones, which means being more user-driven and being more proactive, are still requiring quite some work from governments to be able to deliver as expected. So what are the key challenges that we think will remain a priority for governments around the world in digital? Users, being user-driven in particular, putting users at the core, data, acknowledging the importance of ethical concerns as they emerge when governments become more digital and societies and economies become more digital, focusing on integration and interoperability at all levels of processes, of decisions, of systems, of data, for example, focusing a lot on cross-border cooperation in how services are provided, in how, for example, tools such as digital identity become portable, making it more convenient for citizens to interact with public sectors and to identify themselves even beyond national borders, and focusing on impact of digital government strategies, agendas, and initiatives. So focusing on the impact and trying to demonstrate the impact remains still an important priority and a challenge for many governments. So if we look in particular at the agenda for the Arab world, based on the work we do with countries in the region, we really think that adopting an omni-channel approach to service design and delivery that brings the same quality of services independently from the channel being used to access the service is a priority. Enhancing data-driven capabilities and capacities for service design and delivery, so connecting the 2 agendas, is a priority. Investing in digitalization of the public administration supported by the right digital skills within the public sector and across society should be seen as a priority. Challenging still remains also the engagement of citizens early on in the policy-making processes to co-create and co-design services that also help fostering public trust. Enabling stakeholders' participation for more inclusive, innovative, and effective public service delivery is a priority. And last but not least, strengthening regional and international cooperation to ensure sustainable and more inclusive growth in the region through higher digital transformation should be seen as a priority. Those are challenges which are not unique to the region. We count on being able to keep and maintain our ongoing cooperation with countries in the region to make sure that we share good practices, but that we also learn from each other on things that also do not work, because we do not really need to reinvent the wheel, and also we don't need to make the same mistakes again. Thank you very much.